Welcome to the Frog Engineering Airsoft channel. Today we have a new Pimp My Gun video. Oh, it's so pimp. So today's topic will not be HPA GBBR conversions, unlike you might think, but some improvement to the VFC old generations of HK416s. In my team there are a few of those and they have extremely bad hop-up. Some of you probably have those guns. This is not for the new guns. You maybe remember this kind of hop-up chambers like I have in my hands that are not attached by any screws. Yeah, the halves just are loose inside of the gun. And these hop-up chambers, for a long time, they were actually for AEG standard hop-up backings. So people modified some collar that was here it's also cut off, to house the GBBR type backing. Additionally, they had shitty knob on the top and this weird regulation that you had the screw here on the bottom. You can see how it goes through, and there was a spring-loaded part riding on the barrel here to lift this arm, and so on and so on. So this, because you can imagine how well this works in a shaking, shooting GBBR, is complete bad solution. What I did, I converted these guns a bit. I was inspired by the guide hop, the solution from VFC. So I did this in some of the guns, but still I had to use these kind of chambers. You know, the stability of the hop and so on leaves really a lot to wish, yeah? So today I'm gonna show you how to make a perfect hop, because the latest VFC chambers for the M4s are really good and they fit one-to-one to the HK416s. The HK416s chamber don't fit to the HK416s because they require special barrel construction. But what's a little funny, these new chambers for the M4s, I believe they were released like 2020 year or something, then those fit perfectly to the HK416s and you can make it work like a perfect solution. So I'll show you how to do it. Here this gun is partially modded, so I will need to disassemble it. I'll show you all the parts that are already in the gun, plus because I'm changing this wobbly shitty kind of chamber to the new one, I will show you what new parts I assemble. There is some 3D printing in this and you need to mill a groove in the outer barrel, so of course you need some technical skills and some tools probably, but everything's doable. If not by you yourself, maybe you know somebody who can help you. This way you will save your gun, because really those old generations are tragic and very simply you can improve it to have the same kind of performance you get from the new ones. I like very much these old classics. They have crazy nice sound when you shoot. The new guns don't have it anymore. Let's give them new life. Before we pimp that gun, let's see what we need. The main part, which is the hop-up assembly from the M4 VFC. This is how it looks like. So it has this steel arm, very nice feature. It has the steel collar around the hop-up backing, because even if you did the mod with cutting off the rest, the backing was very loose and was damaged very easily. So that's nice. And obviously the most important thing, it has two screws on this side, and those two screws attach these halves together and they don't fly around like crazy shit. The M4s, additionally, they have a ring here in the front with a groove, and when you rotate it, it moves this arm up and down, yeah? But in the HK416, theoretically, we could put it in too. The problem is that to set the hop, you need to remove the front rail, so it made no sense. So I'll be using this part. I'll show what's inside. Because anyway, I will need to open the chamber. I will be replacing the barrel, obviously from the old chamber, but also to a new one. There is the stock barrel in that gun. I will put in some nice one. So you see how it looks inside. We have the hop-up backing, the typical VFC one without the rib on the side. Yeah, the nice screwed chamber, steel collar, and these hop-up arms, I really like them. You see they have tiny ribs. This is the latest thing that VFC does. First gun which had it, I believe this was G28, and they are now copying it everywhere. This prevents the arm from moving around when you shoot, because there are some clearance cancelling ribs on both sides of the axis and both sides of the arms. And the arm is extremely strong steel, so it doesn't deform, it cuts into the chamber, it holds the position. This is a perfect solution, so I want this in my gun. So now let's take the gun and let's see the mod that is there already, and I'll explain what I'm changing. Obviously the change is only on the upper, so I don't need the lower. Here I have the upper. First I need to take off the handguard, so let's remove the screw here. Okay, when the screw is taken away, I can slide off the top. So this is the rail, it goes away. And now you see what is changed. So what do we have here? The modification is basically adding the guide hop. So you can see the same solution as VFC does in their guns. There is a long rod running through the front to the rear into the chamber, moving the arm for the hop-up setting, and there is an opening here in the front of the gas block that you can take a hex key, put it in and rotate spiral here, and you see this arm moves, yeah, back and forth. Very simple, fully inspired by the VFC solution, yeah. And all these parts that I added are 3D printed. So what do we have here? We have the gas block replacement, I will show it in a second. We have a movement cancellation part for the piston. We have two holding clamps so that this rod will not bend. This happens a lot in the VFC guns because they don't have it. I add it always to any gun that comes into my hand with the guide hop, because what is happening when you are tightening it and there is resistance from this kind of self-cutting into the chamber arm, it bends up, yeah, this rod bends up, so this is no way to set up the hop-up. So I have here some stiffening features basically, and obviously the long arm going in there. And I start with removing this part. I need to just push it up, yeah. This will allow me to take out the rod. And now I need to take off these two rings, and I have screws in them. So one screw on this side and the second screw is in here. Okay, now you see the rod, how flexible it is, and you see this gas block part. In order to disassemble this rod or this guide, whatever this is, I need to undo the barrel nut. I won't do it under the camera, but basically you take a wrench and you rotate it counterclockwise. And we have the barrel assembly here. Yeah? I'll show you how it's done. So internals of the barrel, yeah, let's put this for a second aside. Now let's take this out. And this is an old one, I will be replacing it, so maybe actually I will break it because this will go to the trash anyway. I don't really care if it comes out in one place, so I'm a bit brutal. Okay, it came out in one part, nice. This is the barrel assembly, and here we have our hop-up chamber with the barrel and some parts. These metal barrel extensions, this is a very nice feature of the old HKs and M4s from VFC. Right now they make it out of plastic. I never had a metal one fail. I don't know why they do it from plastic, maybe it's cheaper. It sounds 10 times shittier, yeah? And here you see how the old chamber looks like when assembled. So this arm is actually 3D printed by me for the kind of mod I was trying to do to improve it. And here you see the GBBR type hop-up backing, so the collar is cut off, and you see how wobbly this is, yeah? It's very bad. To show you how shitty this design is, I need to just do like this, and you see that there is nothing holding this together, yeah? So you could not imagine a worse solution than this, yeah, for a GBBR. What you need to do, of course, when you have this kind of chamber, then you need to throw it into the trash. And now this way we have all of the parts needed. These two parts I removed from the gun I will throw out because I have a new version of these parts dedicated for this new VFC hop-up chamber. So here is one part, of course this is 3D printed, here is the second part, and here is the third part. And now when I have everything here, I can explain what we have. So there are these two clamps. These clamps are exactly identical. I just used two. If you'd like, you can use more to keep the rod in place. They are of course 3D printed. You see that they are done this way, that here on this side and on this side there is the brass insert with the thread. I will leave specifications for the parts in the descriptions. All these parts 3D printed parts, there will be a link to download them. So that one screw goes like this and one screw goes like this. Yeah, that's how I do it. And these brass nuts and the screws are M3. I believe the screw is M3 by 6, but you know, whatever you can use. The important is that they don't stick out of this portion here, because then they would collide with the rail. Mine are built, so I will not be printing them all over again and so on. They are perfectly fine. I will just leave it as it is. Later I will assemble them. Then we have this important part, which is the gas block replacement, and it's already modified in this way that here in the front it has a screwed in and glued in M3 screw that has a cylindrical head. Yeah, why? Because I want this to fit with this hex key, and if I did a hole in the plastic, probably it would wear out pretty quickly. So I screwed in and glued in strongly this screw. It's attached permanently to the plastic part, and now when I rotate this, I don't have any worries that it will wear out or anything bad will happen. So that's how we use it. Then we have the barrel filler. Originally, in front of the chamber there would be this wheel that you turn to set up the hop. Now we don't have it, so we must fill this space with something very hard. So I printed out of the hardest material I have, and this is just, you know, a replacement part taking space where normally this wheel would be. Also we have these two parts, and here I had them assembled because you can imagine it was printed on the side like this. Yeah. And this part would be in air, and when this part is in air there would be supports. It would be not precise. I don't like this way, so I print them lying flat completely separately, like on the sides. Yeah, and then I join them by putting them together like this. I will show it later, and I weld them with the soldering tool. Yeah, that's what I do. So this will become one part later. For now it's two separate parts, and we have this blocking part. With this blocking part it's a little tricky, because depending on the gun tolerances it could be a bit longer or a bit shorter. So I will publish the model of few dimensions that I have, and you can choose one of those and use it. When I will be assembling this back, I will explain why you need this. So now the 3D printed parts we spoke about. We spoke about the chamber here, we spoke about the barrel extension. There are also some modifications you need to do to the barrel assembly. So you see I have a groove here milled. Yeah, it goes all the way till here. So this is something you will need, because you can imagine, I will again use this old arm because it's complete, but this is how the arm gets into the chamber, and it can lift up the hop-up arm on the chamber, yeah, through this exact opening. The dimensions of this opening will appear on the screen too. It will be measured from the rear of the barrel till here, the width and the depth. Obviously it's the middle of the barrel, right? And the next thing is this hole. You will be setting the hop up through this hole, right? Like this. So in the new gas blocks it's already with proper size. Here you need to drill it, not too big, but just to put in that hex key that works with your M3 screw. And here you will be basically inserting this to rotate and set the hop. So for those who know how guide hop from VFC works, you already see it's like a aftermarket copy of this system for their old guns to make them work properly. One thing I did not say anything about is actually where to get this hop-up chamber, right? I will put a link in the description, and in this description you will see an example where to buy it. Yeah, you can buy it wherever you want. You just need to know what you are looking for. Yeah, I said I will be mounting a new barrel. This is a Maple Leaf 6.02, 370 millimeters, brand new. If you are mounting your barrel or like, you know, replacing your barrel or whatever, make sure you clean up all these parts if you are reusing them, because I know a lot of people don't do it, and then they have a lot of shit in the gun and they are surprised it doesn't work. So we put on the hop-up backing the regular way, then we slide on this nice steel collar here that will protect our hop-up backing, and we need the chamber, one half of it. Yeah, this all should slide in. You need to find the proper distance of the barrel so that this hop-up backing fits to the cutout, and this steel collar also fits to the cutout. Bam, pretty nice. Then I put the arm in. Obviously this side goes down to the steel collar side, and obviously then the second half of the chamber. Yeah, very simple. These two screws, and you tighten them. You can use some kind of Loctite, but these screws have very nice thread, very nice tolerance, and they don't come loose on their own. Yeah, like maybe there are such cases, but I haven't seen one yet, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna tighten it and it will be fine. And when you finish, you need to make sure that where the split of the chamber is, it's in the middle of this groove on the barrel. So in my case it's incorrect. Now it's okay. And when I rotate it so that it, let's say, is okay, I need to again tighten these screws just a bit. Yeah. And now you see a proper assembly. Okay, so the next part, I just slide this barrel filler part onto the barrel. Yeah, it goes in here. It doesn't do much. If you want to press it in firmly and you have the problem, you know, not to squeeze the hop up here, you can always take the barrel extension, put it on, and use it, you know, to press it. Yeah, so we just press it in. That's it. This is just extension part for the chamber so that it has support. Yeah, nothing else. Important thing is, if you are already assembling it, because I printed it with my settings, I know it will be fine on my printer. You need to check that this arm actually can move, because maybe it's clamped in the between the walls on this black part. Yeah, so mine moves. I can put this aside for a moment, and then I will take care of this part. I explained it's two components. I need to weld them together with the soldering tool. So I will do it like this. Make sure that those two halves fit. There is a groove on this side. There is some raised part here on top so that it fits to each other. Before you do it, one thing you could do actually, because normally you have this wheel that would turn and move the arm in the chamber. Right now we don't have it. Right now we slide under the arm and you see how flat this cam is. Yeah, it's modeled in such a way that when it slides, it gives you some good resolution, let's call it, on the setting of the hop. If it would be steeper, then, you know, you would turn half of the turn and the hop up setting would change 10,000% times. Yeah, so I don't want this. I want this to be, you know, fine. I rotate half turn, I add a little hop, another half turn, I add another half, and so on and so on, so that I can really precisely dial in the setting. So I have it very flat. That's, let's say, from my experience, how it should be. If you are getting issues with it, then just tape something on it, but not like flexible. Yeah, so some stiff aluminum sheet from a can, from Cola or whatever. Disclaimer, I am not sponsored by Cola or whatever, and this way you can raise it, or you can just, you know, model it a bit differently. But this is so thin that from the 3D printing it will never come out good. Yeah, so I need to print it in some shape that I modeled as printable, then I file it to this shape. In your case it could be a bit different. And what I'm trying to say, based on this filing, it can have different profiles, so it's good to check that, you know, it really goes under this arm, moves this arm, and so on when you slide it. The mechanism will have 5 mm travel along the barrel. Yeah, so you really want this to not be engaged first and then go under when you move it. And in order to check it properly, you can put the barrel with the filler into the outer barrel, put the arm through the groove on the top, and then easily, you know, see if you move it from the minimum to the maximum, if the arm works properly and gives you enough hop. In my experience, generally, if I even have this arm with this profile of the cam, the hop at the end of the setting shoots the BB straight up into the heavens. You don't really need to do it. Yeah, it's enough to have this kind of setting like I do. Mine is tested, I know what I'm doing, so now I'm gonna weld it. And here's the welded part. So very simply, I just melted those two pieces together with the hot soldering tool. And you see, like, I call it welding, like, you know, I was doing frog knows what, but simply I just melted these two parts together. What is important is to remove all these flaws that are created here, file it off, and so on, so that it slides nicely in the groove. And so I'm gonna cut, for example, this over melted plastic here, yeah, so that it's gone. the same on the sides, and so on and so on. Yeah, pilot a bit here, a bit there, you know. I'll do it off screen, it's boring. And I have my prepared component. Actually, I will publish also a version where these parts are joined. You can choose whatever you'd like. If you want to print it like I did in 2 parts or just 1 part, it's, you know, up to your preference. And now the next step, which will be a bit tricky, is to insert this into the barrel, right? So here we have the barrel nut and it has to go under, and there is limited space. So you need to do it like from an angle, slide it, you know, through, and it will go. Yeah, so you see it's in, it's okay, and I can move it. And obviously the best test is to again assemble the barrel now, slide it in, and see if distances between the arm and the setting is okay, if it rises at the proper distance, and so on and so on. So now when we have all of this prepared, we can start the assembly of the components. In this case we will need to put the arm through the barrel nut because we didn't remove it. And actually this part would be easier if we took off the gas block. If you want to take off the gas block, 2 pins here, 1 screw here, remove them and it will slide forward. I don't need to do it in one go. We will mount the gas block, I explained how it's done, and this arm, yeah, that I assembled just now. And here this joint will be moving very hard unless you really lube it well. So you need to put a lot of grease, and this way you will have nice smooth action, because you don't want, you know, to struggle to move it and then jump. Yeah, you want this to be smooth. I take the barrel nut in the rearward position. Again, for this groove I will put the dimensions from this side of the barrel, from the flat side to the start of the cutout till the end of the cutout, and the depth in relation into the black part. Silver part is higher, yeah, so the depth will be in relation to the black part. When you cut through the black part you will leave an opening like I have here in the silver part. Anyway, I just put it at a little angle, it goes in, yeah, nicely deeply, and then I need to match these coils on the gas block here, and I can push them back together in. Yeah, so I bent a bit this arm, but nothing happens out of it. Yeah, and now when I will be rotating this arm, I will distribute this lube I added nicely, yeah, so I can wipe off the excess later on, and so on and so on, but it will slide really nicely. Now your test would be to insert all these inner barrel parts with the chamber and so on into the assembly, and see if you turn this, like, first pull the arm till the gas block like I have right now, then have a look what's the hop-up setting, should be 0, right? Then move it to maximum. If it works with this arm, should be higher than 0, yeah? In my case it will be jamming the BBs actually in the, if I set it to maximum, and still remember I have this extremely flat cam on the arm, yeah? So it's good enough. So I'm sliding this in, like there is no philosophy here. Should go nicely, and again I can push it in with the barrel extension. Barrel extension should go in, like into touch, so it did. And I already did my check, I know that it will be just fine, yeah, but I advise you do it just to show. Front setting, check if it's at 0, look into the barrel of course, then rotate it, see how nice it goes in my case, yeah, like very precise, some position, see how much hop you have, and be sure that the barrel extension did not ride back, yeah, because if it's too tight maybe it will push out the chamber or something. In this condition I can put this already into my gun back, so simply put it on the receiver, screw the nut. I'll be back in a second with this on the gun. And here I have my assembly. Now I need to insert the piston, yeah, and the piston goes in first here. And one important thing, you see this piston is cut on this side, yeah, because in these old HKs, in the new ones they don't do it anymore. In these old HKs it was in a collision with the bolt carrier group, and when it was moving forward it was pushing the piston to the front. There was a return spring here, so when you shoot it basically mimicked the real action of the piston, but it broke off parts of the bolt carrier group, so they stopped doing it. And with the old ones there is enough clearance for these pistons to work, but in the new bolt carrier groups with this steel top part, those people who have it know what I mean. This will be in a collision and sooner or later it will break off this steel part. So if you replaced an old bolt carrier group with this new with steel top, cut this short. I don't remember the dimension, you can check, it's easy. But anyway, in our case, we insert the piston and then here into this part. And exactly now you see that if I will be setting my hop, okay, nice, I increase the hop, okay, and now I want to reduce it. You see how this part from the gas block slides out, yeah? So this whole gas valve part, I don't know if I did not call it gas piston previously, but piston is this part, this is the gas valve. It moves back, so the hop doesn't change. So what I need to do is I need to support the piston from here with this part. So right now there is no clearance and I can put in the hex key, move the guide hop system back, and now when I'm moving this forwards, this part will not slide out because it's supported stiff by the gas piston and the support part here. Yeah, so now it works properly. And because these tolerances could be a bit different on these parts, what could happen is the dimension of the part I have could be loose. Maybe you need a bit higher one. Now thinking about this, I will put just one part into the downloadable files, but always in any 3D printing software you can scale it, yeah? So you can scale it in one axis to make it longer if you need to, yeah? It will be perfectly fine, or shorter. The last parts are these, and to mount them actually I need to have the piston taken out, so I'll briefly lift it, yeah? And one will go to the back, one will go to the front. Okay, I can put the piston back in. And the thing is, I want these parts not to be visible. On the rail you have these cutouts and I want them to be, you know, hidden behind the metal, not in the middle of the cutout. So for this reason I will place one here and the second one will go here under the piston, but it's kind of tight to squeeze it, yeah? Like this, so at the very end of this guide hop, and it will not be visible from the outside. But if you'd like, you can put more of them. You see here there would be collision between the piston and these arms and so on, so I found these two places as the best for me. And then I will just put the other half from the bottom, screw together, and again when screwing together, don't do it too tight, because if you tighten it too much and you cancel the clearance between them and this guide, it will clamp, you will not be able to set hops. Make sure that when you screw it in, it works properly. Here this whole system is assembled, so let's try the functionality again. And this time I will also show how it looks like when this is set. Here the hole, it enters nicely, you see I can move the arm, right? It goes to the increase hop. This kind of thread is oriented in this way that when I turn it clockwise, it increases the hop like I would turning in screw tighter basically, and when I do it counterclockwise it reduces the hop. Now thinking about this, I have not mentioned one more thing. When you are checking that this hop up setting works, remember that this arm has these ribs to cancel the clearance and it cuts into the chamber, yeah, it's like really firmly pressed. So when you turn the hop down, the arm can stay like this, yeah? So you push it, push it, push it, it rotates and it stays like this, although the support is gone. So when you shoot, the BBs will, you know, strike it, strike it, strike it, and set it so that it's again on touch with the cam, and this would be your setting. So first thing, when you are shooting, do like 5 shots after each change to make sure that it's really, you know, the position it should be in. And second thing, when you are visually inspecting, then if this arm is like this and you are not shooting and your cam, you know, rolled away, then you just need to take something that is not sharp and push the arm through the backing with it, yes? Some rounded pin or whatever, something that will not damage the backing. I guess this is kind of understandable. So you see this is the 0 hop and this is the max hop. Much more than I will ever need. Our mod is ready. For the video it was pretty simple because half of it was ready before, and I believe I explained everything well enough. Now we need to put the rest of the gun in place. Okay, with the rail in place we tighten this screw. I think everybody knows now how to disassemble and assemble HK416. I probably don't need to explain it. And here we are with our modded gun. I hope you liked the video. This Pimp My Gun episode was applicable not only to the HPA GBBRs from Frog Engineering obviously, but to all GBBRs working on the green gas, whatever. If you have an old type of HK416 with this shitty chamber I showed, this is exactly the way how you can bring it to life, give it proper performance and use it, yeah? These guns are really nice, they are really different than the current ones in many senses. I like them much more, especially the feeling, the rate of fire, the sound. It's really something that is not manufactured anymore. If you have any questions, let me know. The list of the parts with material suggestion will be in the link. There will be the link to the chamber too. There will be the description of the dimensions of the groove on the barrel. So everything you need, the list of screws, inserts, whatever, yeah? So everything will be in the description. Check it for details. If you have any questions, if something was unclear, let me know. I will clarify it for you, and let's make these old guns like new. Thank you for your attention. I hope that you liked this mod. As I always say, there is much more coming, so hit the notification bell, subscribe and leave comments. Let me know what you think. Don't miss the next coming videos. For now, thank you so much, and we'll see each other in the next episode coming from Frog. And for now, may the power of GBBR be with you.